Come On Feel the Noise was a song originally released in 1973 by the band Slade. However, Quiet Riot's cover quickly became the more popular version, and it's got a couple of really rippin' solos for us guitar players. So today, let's learn how to play Come On Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot on guitar. Learning to play Come On Feel the Noise isn't that hard. It's a pretty simple tune. So the first thing we hear is a random slide along that bottom string. And then we get into our verse. And the verse consists of chugging on some power chords to begin with. And we're just going to chug straight eights. And we're going to start with a G power chord, 3rd fret of the bottom string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then we're going to come up to a B, 2nd fret of the A string, and just do the same thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 2 measures of an open E power chord. 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Now, you can keep it really simple and just strictly chug. Just like that, nothing wrong with that. But if you listen to the album, there's inflections there. It's not just straight chugging the whole way through. The very first verse, the first time that we repeat through these power chords, it almost seems like he has a... All right, that's sort of a feel going. So use your palm muting, but just accent those like... Right, so you're not going to give every note equal weight. They're not all going to be played just the 100% exact same. So use a little bit of creativity, use a little bit of emotion, you know, feel those rhythms inside yourself and really just, yeah, have some fun with it and make it your own. And in the live version, I've seen them even use the 2 high strings to accent the final measure of that. So on the 2 measures of E, so you can do that too. It'd be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you can throw those in to experiment with that. And then after we do those power chords, we come up to an A power chord, G. So it's a G power chord. You're really just fretting a G chord, except you don't have to worry about that A string, and your 2nd finger is going to be muting off that A string. And then a D power chord. So it's really just a D chord, but we're not hearing the high string ring. And if you accidentally snag that A string in there, it's going to sound nice and big and huge too. That's okay. So we do that twice. A, G, D. The only thing you have to be aware of there is the syncopation. It's just square on the beat for the A and the G, but it's on the upbeat of 4 for that D power chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. And then we repeat our 3 power chords. And then back to the A, G, D, A, G, D. To finish the verse off, we skip all the way up to an E power chord. And you just have to strum it for 1 measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then come all the way down back to your D power chord, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? And live, they've sometimes, instead of skipping way up to our E power chord on the 7th fret, they'll just do that on the open E power chord to D. And then we get into our chorus. The chorus to Come On Feel the Noise is more of the same old, same old. We're just switching up the order of the chords. So the chorus starts with a G power chord, same one that we've been doing, then a D power chord, except we're gonna put our F sharp in the bass with our thumb. So it's not really a power chord anymore since we're putting our major third back into that chord. But there's two ways of doing this. You could, if you feel more comfortable fretting the F sharp with the first finger, you could do that. So it'd be like a G to D with F sharp in the bass. But the way I feel more comfortable doing it is just wrapping my thumb around and grabbing the second fret there. So you've got your D power chord, same as always, thumb around the bottom, and then just strum all the strings. If you're doing it properly, the A string will be muted off, and so will the high one, so you don't have to be super accurate with your picking. And then to an E power chord. Okay? So we have that little voice leading in the bass, right? That's really what adds a lot to the part, having that G, F sharp, E. Okay, and same timing as the verse. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Do that twice. Go back to our verse chords that we were using. A, G, D. Do that twice. And then go back to G, D with F sharp in the bass, E, and do that twice. And then to finish the chorus off, we go up to a C power chord. We're just kind of doing a walk down here with power chords. We're doing a C power chord, third fret of the A string, and we're just doing straight eighth notes, 1 and 2 and, move a half step down to B, 3 and 4 and, to A, 1 and 2 and, to G, 3 and 4 and then back up to D and do that for 2 whole measures, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that last little bit of the chorus would sound like this. Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and support the channel. I've got tons of your favorite songs, all with complete tabs, and I'm getting loads of suggestions all the time, so I'm gonna keep on going with this, and you're gonna learn all your favorite songs with complete tabs. It's gonna be awesome. Let's get back at her. The main solo starts off with another random slide. He gets into it just by grabbing the couple of bottom strings and just do a random slide. And then we get into this sequence in the G major pentatonic scale pattern. Okay, we're just taking a pattern up. And start with a palm mute on this, and we're going to gradually take our palm mute off as we work our way up the strings. But start down on the E string, 15, 12, 15, and up to the 12th fret of the A string. Okay, and think 16th notes, 1 E end up. And then we're gonna go 14, 12, 14 on the A string, up to the D string 12, and repeat this again, 14, 12, 14 on the D, up to 12 on the G. And now we do a little couple of notes here that doesn't conform to the pattern. We go 14 to 12 on G, and 14 to 12 on D. So there's our first measure. And now we start working our way up with the pattern again. Repeat that 14 to 12, 14 on the D string, and 12 on G, 14, 12, 14 on G, 12 on B, 15, 12, 15 on B, and 12 on E. And then to finish this off, we go 15, 12 on E, and then 14 on B, and then up to the 12 on E. Okay, so there's our 2 whole measures of this run. Okay, and then we come back up to the 15th fret, and he slides that. Okay, so we slide up to the 17th. And then we get into some melodic playing. So after we slide, we go 15, 14, 15, and then go 14, 15, 14, hammer pull, 17 on the B string, back up to 14 on the E string, and then bend and release 17 on the B and back to 15 on the B. Okay? Okay, now we get into this. Really nice melodic playing. It's pretty simple, but it fits well. So we come onto the B string, 12, 13, 15, then 13, 12, 13, come back to 12, down to the G string, 14, back up to 12 on the B string. And then we go down to the G string, 14, 12, come down to 11, back up to 12 and 14, up to the B string, where we're basically going to be repeating here now, 12, 13, 15, 13, 12, 13, come back to 12, down to 14 on the G, back up to 12, and then come down to G. Now this is where it's going to be a little bit tricky because we want to do a 12th fret on G and bend it and release it. Okay, now this is where it's tricky because it's oftentimes hard for people to get that nice and clean. So here's my little trick, is I put my middle finger on the B string when I hit that G, and it keeps it nice and clean. Okay, so as soon as I hit that 12th fret, now I drop that middle finger onto the B string. Okay, now on the album it's a little overbent as well. That's actually more of like a 1.5 step bend, but I don't know if he meant to do that. To my ear, it sounds better if it's just a whole step bend there. So it might have just been a little error that they chose to leave in because it's not really that bad, right? But it's up to you if you want to overbend it a little bit or just do a whole step bend. But that whole little melodic phrase, and now we get into one of my favorite parts of the solo. Again, it's not too hard to execute, but lots of nice bends here. So your bends have to be pretty accurate if you want this to sound really good. Okay, so we start this off by hitting a quick 12th fret on the B string, and then bend the 15th fret up on the high string. Bend that 3 times, and then bend, release, down to 14, and back up to 15, and then bend and release it again, down to 14, and then 15th on the B string. And then we repeat that. And then we get into a new set of bends here. We go 15 on the B string, and then bend the 17 on the high string twice. And hold that, and then now so you bend that twice, and then another quick bend release, down to 15, back up to 17, bend again, and then release to 17. And then we get into a little pedal point lick. Okay, so what we're doing there is hit 15, and now we're doing 16th notes again. 1 E enda, 2 E enda, 3 E enda. Okay, so we're really using the 15th fret G as our pedal and alternating with the 17th and 19th frets. So go hit 19, so that would be 1, and then back to the 15th fret, E enda. And then hit the 17th fret, 2 E enda, back to the 19th fret. Okay, so we have 3 beats there. Now we run down the scale a little bit. We go 17, 15, down to 14, up to 15, then 17, 14, 15, 14. Come down to the 12th fret again and do a hammer pull between 15 and 12. Down to the 14th fret on the B string, back up to 12 on E, and then bend the 15th fret on B and release it quick. You can definitely hear it fall back down on the album. So that whole pedal point lick, nice and slow. And now we jump back down and perform the exact same lick that we started the whole solo with. And we finish it off the same, 15 sliding up to 17. Now on the album, that note is a little bit sharp. He actually slid up to 17, but then his vibrato is just a little bit off. He actually yanks it sharp and vibratos it. So Obviously don't duplicate that, just perform it how we learned it here. Now to finish this off, it's pretty easy to finish this off. Nice little lick to finish it off, really melodic again. So once you slide up to 17, go 15, and then hammer pull between 14 and 15, and down to 17 on the B string, and do that twice. Okay, so now we hit the 17th fret on the B string, slide up to 20, 17 on the high string, 20, and then bend it. Okay? And there's your whole solo. Let's do the outro solo. Another nice melodic solo to wrap this song up. So we go. Okay, so you want a couple of staccato notes to start this with. Slide into 14 on the G string, and then hit the 13th fret on the B string twice, and the 15th fret. And then we walk back down the scale here, 13, 12, and then 14, 12 on the G string. So just give the first couple of notes there on the 13th fret, the staccato, that shorten them up, kind of release the pressure, bounce your finger, just to make it sound just like the album. Okay, and then we slide into the 14th fret on the D string. Go 12, 14 on G, and then 12, 13, 15 on the B. Okay, so, and then bend the 15th fret, bend it again. You want to hit the 15th fret, but hold it just for slightly, just for like half a beat before you do the bend. You don't want to just bend it right away, like, you want to hold it a little bit and then yank it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and, okay, so it's kind of like a 4 end. And then repeat that again. And then we come up to the high string, 17th fret, where we bend that twice. Hold it till the end of the measure, where we're going to bend it and release. Down to 15, back up to 17, 15. And then we do a little hammer pull from 14 and 17, down to the 17th fret of the B string, back up to 14 and 15 on the high string. Okay, so it's like this. Now we get into this repeating hammer pull lick. We're going to do that 3 times. So we're going to start on 17, pull off to 14, hammer to 15 and pull off to 14. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 and a, and then we come back down to the 17th fret of the B string, back up to the 14th fret of the high string, bend 17 on B, release, come down to 15, and end it on the 17th fret. Okay, so that whole thing. And then we come to the 12th position where we go 12, 14 on D, then go to 12, 14 on G, but bend the 14th fret up a whole step and end on the 12th fret of B. Now there's going to be a little bit of a string skip here. We come down to the D string 14, and then hammer pull between 12 and 13 on the B string, come down to the G string 14, and back to B. Okay, so that whole thing. 15 on B, where we hit it, bend it, release it, repeat the 15th fret, hammer pull between 12 and 15 on that B string, come down to the G string 14, back up to the B string, and then bend 14 on G, release it, down to 12, back to 14. Okay, so that whole thing now. Okay, and now we end this just a little bit of melodic playing again. We go 12, 14, 12, 11 on the G string. And then 12, 11, 14 on the D string, back up to 11 on the G, and down to 14 on the D. And then 14, 12 on the D, down to 14 on the A, 12 on D, up to 14, and ended on 12. Okay, so that whole last little phrase, starting from where we started in the 12th fret. Okay, now the song starts fading out at that point, but you can hear some kind of almost funk style fills happening in the background. So this, what we're doing is really just hitting the 15th fret and alternating it with some muted strings. So you're just gonna wanna bounce your finger. Okay, so you're just doing 16th notes but bouncing your finger. And I really doubt that he composed these little fills. He was really probably just feeling 16th notes and just doing some rhythmic fills, right? But as close as I could get to the album, this is what's going on. So I use my third finger to fret the 15th, and I use my first finger to mute off the strings so that I can get a little bit more rhythmic with it. I don't have to just worry about one string. I can snag 2 or even 3, and it's really beefs up the part, sounds a little bit cooler. So feel free to work on that. Now, the rhythm of the first fill that we hear starts on beat 2. 2 and 3 E and 4 E and 1. Okay, that's the rhythm. I'll just repeat it. And then the second fill gets a little more complicated, and I won't go through all the strokes. It's going to get pretty complicated, especially if you're not too used to 16ths. But I'll just play it really slow and count it out for you a couple of times. And then, like I said, don't feel that you have to copy this 100%. You can, once you get the feel for just that muting and bouncing off of that fret, make up your own rhythms with it and just be creative. Here we go. I'll play it really slow and count it out for you a couple of times. 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. And here it is without counting. Okay, like I said, might be a little bit complicated for you, but let's move on. Last fill and we're done the song. Here it is really slow with some counting. 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. And here it is without counting. Now there's also a couple of lead fills in that third verse, and those fills that you hear are this. Okay, and they repeat twice the exact same. So the first fill is sliding into 7 on the D string, and then 4, 5, 7 on the G string, and then you want to hammer pull quick between 5 and 7 on that G string, slide down to 4, and end on 5. So that hammer pull slide all happens really fast. Okay, and then the second fill that you hear is sliding into the 4th fret, or the 14th fret on G, and then 12, 13, 15 on B, back to 13, 12, and ended on the 12th fret of the G string. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, the second time that that one happens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slide down half a step to the 11th fret and hold that for a measure. And those are all the lead fills. There's also a kind of an a cappella clap along chorus in there where the band you know, goes tacit. And within that, when they sing the vocal wild, 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 the guitar doubles that because that's the melody line, C, B, A. So we're hitting the 10th, 9th, and 8th, or sorry, 10th, 9th, and 7th on the D string. And you do that twice. And then you hear a couple more random slides in there. And that's all the parts to the song. You've got all the rhythms, all the leads. You now know how to play Come On Feel the Noise on guitar. Thanks so much for watching and supporting the channel. I really love putting these out for you and making them as accurate as possible, so I hope that you got a lot out of it and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to take a look around to see what other songs I've done that you might be interested in, and drop any suggestions that you've got in the comments, and I'll put them on the list. See you next time.